Facts.
That's just point blank and period.
So Malik just came back from being in camp with Usyk. What did you make? You told me before on the phone when we talked, you said Usyk's gonna win. How did you know?
I mean, sometimes you can just look at both fighters, and sometimes the eye test will tell it all. You know, the way the body language is telling the story, the way that the momentum of a fighter is telling the story. You can look at Usyk and tell how confident he was, how the tables have reversed or turned, and you can tell he owned it. You know, he feel like who he is, and with Joshua, you can tell that he wasn't himself. It ain't using himself or being motivated or feeling secure, you know, within himself, and you can just easily tell. And then from the last fight, you always go off of the last fight, certain things that happened, and you know, you just have that feeling. So that may boil down to that. We all know that, you know, Joshua has stamina problems and different things like that, and we always felt he's too big for certain things he do, and not get enough oxygen in his muscles and stuff like that. But you know, like I've always said, they've given him everything. You know, when you give a man everything, and then when it's time to really bite down on the wire, how far can you go?
And those are the words of Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder as he responds once again to Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. He elaborates on the Usyk victory over Anthony Joshua in their rematch. And as you heard Wilder say, strangely enough, that he can tell that Alexander Usyk was going to win based on their energy, based on the confidence level that Alexander Usyk possessed. And Anthony Joshua didn't seem like himself. Let me counterpunch that segment real quick. First off, confidence does go a long ways, but it doesn't really mean that you're going to necessarily win a bout. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to be the victor. It doesn't mean that you have a better game plan. It doesn't mean that you're better prepared or any of that. Confidence is something within. It's an edge. Okay, it can be an edge, but it could also be your downfall. That's why, you know, him saying, oh, well, he just seemed confident. And based on that, I knew he was going to win. Okay, but then Wilder went on to say this. He went on to say, well, we all know that Anthony Joshua had stamina issues. Okay, and we all know that he's too big. We all know that, you know, the muscles and stuff, he doesn't get enough oxygen to his muscles, you know, for them to be useful. Okay, and he said that you also know that he was given everything. And let me counterpunch that for a minute. Well, first off, I feel that Wilder saying that Joshua, you know, is too big. I've been saying that. You know, and I think they have applied the same thing to their camp. Because if you notice, Deontay Wilder is a lot smaller than he was before. Okay, he was not 238 pounds, and I doubt he's 238 now. I bet you he's maybe 222, 223, you know, to say the, you know, at best. Okay, so maybe he's learned that from Joshua simply because, you know, he learned that about himself. He learned how he got tired. He learned how he had stamina issues, that he was slower and sluggish and those things in the third fight with Tyson Fury versus the training video that we just saw that I posted for you guys. Shout out to Ellie Setback Reporting for getting the footage of Deontay Wilder going absolute ham in the gym, okay, because he looked a lot faster, a lot quicker in his sequence, okay? So I feel that he should have took that note, and I think Malik Scott picked that up, and I'm glad that he did. You know, that proves that he does look for things to sharpen on Wilder, and that's dropping that weight himself. So maybe they got that from Anthony Joshua, okay? Now, however, when Wilder was referring to the Joshua has received everything, I think that came from, you know, promotional wise, maybe he got the opportunities, but I think the opportunities only came because of the foundation. Okay. So I think Anthony Joshua was well deserved of what was expected of him because of what he already did in the amateurs. See, we know how that goes in the amateurs versus the pros. If you're an amateur gold, everyone is going to expect highly of you. Okay? If you're a bronze, they won't think as much. They'll just know you have a certain type of pedigree because you've placed, but they know you're not the best. Okay? So they're not going to put you up with a hard test. So if anybody had anything given to him, it was all those soft-ass fights that Deontay Wilder had. Yeah. I mean, ask yourself this question. How many champions did Deontay Wilder actually fight? You can't say Luis Ortiz. You can't say Vlad, he never fought him. He fought Tyson Fury and he lost every fight except for the draw in 2018. Okay? Dominic Breazeale was never a champion. Spilka was never a champion. Stavern was the closest of being a champion. He was self-appointed because Vitali dropped the belt. So there was no one that was on Wilder's resume that equated anything that made him liable or a decent fighter. Nothing that his resume reflected what he's talking about. So if anybody was given anything, it was Wilder because of the pedigree that was given to him based on what they thought he could do. So him saying that that's what happens when you give everyone anything, maybe you're talking about yourself, because as soon as you stepped up, bro, you got hurt by an old Ortiz, which was 39 years old. You've got beaten up. You got outboxed by Tyson Fury in the first fight when he just came off a fat cocaine binge. You got dropped and stopped in the second fight of that Tyson Fury fight. You knocked out Dominic Breazeale, but you weren't the first to do it. It was Anthony Joshua, so you share a win with him. And you was beaten again in 2021. So again, when something that wasn't given to you and it was time for you to take it, you couldn't and you failed. These are just facts, people. Okay? But don't get it twisted. I mean, when Anthony Joshua did step up to that person that could outbox him, outwork him, outdo him, show him that he is better, it was shown, and that was Alexander Usyk. But just to say he was given everything, I think that's a very, very hypocritical thing to say from Deontay Wilder. Okay? Because when it was time for him to step up, he passed one test, and I think that one test was over-accented, okay? And I think they milked it. That's why they had a second fight with Ortiz. Knowing Ortiz is just as older as the second fight, even though he did well, he knew he was older. Okay, so that I don't think that necessarily equated more victory for Wilder. Even though him hyping himself up, self-promoting himself, got himself more of a dollar figure off the name of Anthony Joshua. Okay, so for him saying that he was given everything, it's just like him trying to say he's taking a cheap false shot at Anthony Joshua for losing once again, and him speaking of, well, you should go off the last fight. Well, let's go off your last fight. Your last fight before the fight that you lost with Tyson Fury, we could only say, hey, you lost. You need improvement. You need a new coach. And that's exactly what he had. Did he improve? Maybe, but he had so much weight on him that we really never seen how he improved because his reflexes were so slow because he was too big. Okay, so we don't know really what Malik Scott has really trained him until I saw that training video, and I really like what I saw. However, him saying that we go off the last fight, well, you failed miserably because Tyson Fury beat the shit out of you rematch-wise. And then the third fight, you got beat again. Great fight, but you still was defeated by knockout, just like the 7th round stoppage in the second fight. So, I think he is pretty much looking in the mirror at certain times when he's talking about Joshua. And I think if he has so much to talk about Anthony Joshua, they need to get in the ring and duke it out once and for all. You guys tell me what you think of Deontay Wilder's assessment of the loss of Anthony Joshua to Alexander Usyk. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.